What's going on, music creators? It's your boy Fly Guy J, and I'm back with another video. Now, on this week of Wavy Wednesdays, I'm going to continue by picking up on last week's episode and go over another one of my favorite mastering plugins. That plugin is the Waves Kramer Master Tape plugin. I like to use this plugin in my mastering chain to tame some of the high frequencies, smooth out the sound, and give it some warmth and analog character. It's another great plugin to use to turn your squeaky clean digital mix into something that sounds more imperfect and has those characteristics that you would get from an analog tape machine. Now, before I give you guys a preview of the mastered song, I want to encourage you guys to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you can get notifications of future Wavy Wednesday videos. If you're interested in learning more about mixing and mastering, be sure to check out the other videos on my channel and drop a comment and let me know if there's any specific plugins or techniques you'd like me to cover. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so I pulled up the same section from the last video. This is a song that I produced called Designer, featuring a dope artist by the name of Flamo. As you can see, I have my mastering chain for this particular song pulled up on the left-hand side here. And one of the plugins I'm using in this chain is the Kramer Master Tape. These are the settings that I landed on for this particular song. First, I'll go ahead and play the hook section of the song so you can get a feel for the track. And then we'll dive in and take a closer look at what all of these knobs do on the plugin itself. So this is the mastered version of the song.
Just another day in the life of a fly guy. She a bad one, she love designers. I'm a real one by her kindness. She want that real love, the internet. She said that new drip keep her wet. She my late night flex. 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 She gon' spin a bag on some designer. Chanel wanna that designer. I just dropped a bag on some designer. She know my body, that designer. Yeah.
Note, if you want to buy some designer merchandise, I'll leave a link in the description where you can go ahead and hop over to my merch store. So now let's go ahead and bypass some of the plugins after the Kramer Tape plugin, and then I'll play back the hook again and bypass this Kramer Tape plugin on and off so you can hear what this specific plugin is doing to the sound. I'll start with the Kramer Tape plugin bypass, and then we'll engage it on and off during different sections of the hook. Again, this is with the plugin bypass.
Just another day in the life of a fly guy. She a bad one, she love designers. I'm a real one by her kindness.
On.
She want that real love, the internet. She said that new drip keep her wet. She my late night flex.
Off.
She my late night flex. She my late night flex.
On.
She my late night flex. She gon' spin a bag on some designer.
Off.
Chanel wanna that designer. I just dropped a bag on some designer.
On.
She know my body, that designer. Yeah.
So that gives you a better idea of what this specific plugin is doing to our sound. I'm using very gentle settings, as you can see by this Flux knob position, the Wow and Flutter knob position, and the noise knob. But what you'll hear when this plugin is engaged is some of the high frequencies are rounded out and kind of decreased in the overall mix. Some of the lower mid frequencies are boosted, and the overall sound that we're getting out of this plugin is a much warmer sound. This plugin can be used on your drum bus. This plugin can be used on vocals, or you can use this plugin as I'm using it directly on the master bus. When I'm using it directly on the master bus, I want to make slight changes to my overall mix. I don't want to make any drastic changes. That's why I've settled on the subtle changes that you see here. All right, let's take a closer look at this plugin and talk about how to use each of these controls. All right, the first two controls we'll talk about are the record level and the playback level. The record level determines the amount of signal coming into the plugin, and the playback level determines the amount of signal that's leaving the plugin. One of the nice features that I like to use when using this plugin is this link button here. When you enable this link button, as you increase or decrease the record level, the playback level will automatically increase or decrease in order to compensate for that change in volume and keep the volume leaving the plugin the same. When you're using this plugin, you want to adjust the record level until the gauge on this VU meter is sitting somewhere between -5 and 0 VU. That's the sweet spot when using this plugin, and I try to aim for the loudest parts of the song peaking around 0 VU. Let's demonstrate that real quick.
Bad one, she love designers. I'm a real one by her kindness. She want that real love, the internet. She said that new drip keep her wet. She my late night flex. 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 She gon' spin a bag on some designer. Chanel want that designer. I just dropped a bag on some designer.
So I'm happy with that level. You can see at the loudest section of the song, when the 808 and kick are hitting, I'm around 0 VU. If I wanted to increase the output leaving this plugin, I could hit this unlink button, and then I could adjust and increase this playback level until I was satisfied.
Bad one, she love designers. I'm a real one by her kindness. She want that real love.
The next control we'll talk about is this Flux control. And what this control does is simulate the amount of magnetic radiation that you would get from the record head. In the analog equipment, it would emit a radiation, which in turn would affect the signal being recorded onto the tape. Without getting too technical, it basically introduces a type of distortion to the sound that is recorded onto the tape. For this particular track, I kept that level of distortion at a minimum by putting it to the 150 setting. I'll play back the song again, and I'll increase the level of flux from minimum to maximum, and you'll hear the level of distortion change as I do that.
Bad one, she love designers. I'm a real one by her kindness. She want that real love, the internet. She said that new drip keep her wet. She my late night flex. She my late night flex. She my late night flex. She my late night flex.
So you can hear as I increase that all the way to the maximum, there's a lot of distortion being introduced, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. If you're looking to introduce just a little bit of that distortion to turn your digital squeaky clean mix into something that has a little more analog character, then you could increase this flux setting to taste until you found a level of distortion that still sounded good sonically to the ear. The next control we'll talk about is this wow and flutter knob. And again, this is another control that's emulating how your sound would change from the mechanics of the tape machine. As these tape heads spin round and round, the mechanics of the tape and the reel cause friction, and that friction causes the speed of the tape to change slightly, which can cause some changes in the pitch of your sound, and it also causes the gain or the volume of your sound to change as well. So by increasing this wow and flutter knob, you're increasing the amount of imperfections and fluctuations in that volume and that pitch that the audio playing back through this plugin will have. For this particular song, I settled on a setting of 30, but what I'll do again is I'll play back the hook with the setting all the way down, and then we'll increase it all the way so you can get a better understanding of what this is doing to the sound.
Bad one, she love designers. I'm a real one by her kindness. She want that real love, the internet. She said that new drip keep her wet. She my late night flex. She my late night flex.
So you can hear the pitch is fluctuating up and down, and it's simulating the tape being unstable, moving around the playheads. So there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of fluctuation in that tape, and as a result, you're getting that drastic change in pitch. For this particular track, I wanted to add a little bit of that character and imperfection into the song, so I settled around a setting of 30. But again, you can adjust this to taste based on the sound that you are going for with your particular track. The next setting we'll talk about is the noise knob. And what this does is introduce that analog hissing type of noise that you would get from the actual analog equipment. For this particular track, I did not want to introduce any of that hissing noise. Most tracks, I find myself not introducing that noise. However, if I were making a lo-fi track or maybe a song that I wanted to sound like it was sampled, then perhaps I would increase this noise knob. Even without playing back the song, as I increase this noise knob, you'll hear that staticky sound that's being introduced. The next control we'll talk about is the speed switch. We have the choice of choosing between 15 inches per second or 7.5 inches per second. And what this is simulating is how fast the tape reel is turning. With the higher setting of 15, you'll be preserving more of the high-end frequency information in the song. With the 7.5 inch per second setting, you'll be preserving more of the low end and the bass of the song. So again, depending on what sound you're going for, you'll want to play back the song and then flip the switch and see which sound sounds better to you. For this particular song, I settled on the setting of 15, which preserved some of the high end and clarity in the vocals, but it did sacrifice a little bit of my low end. I'll play it back and then I'll switch it over to 7.5 so you can hear the difference. What you'll notice is that the focus of the song shifts from the high end instruments and the vocals to the bass. And the song to me gets a little bit muddier when I switch over to the 7.5.
Bad one, she love designers. I'm a real one by her kindness. She want that real love, the internet. She said that new drip keep her wet. She my late night flex. 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 She gon' spin it back on some design. Chanel want that design.
So as you can hear, when it was set to 15, the vocals were clear, they were brighter, they stood out better in the mix, and I felt like the overall balance of my mix sounded better at the setting of 15 IPS. The next setting we'll talk about is this bias switch. You have the option of a normal bias or over bias. Again, without getting too technical, the bias is basically emulating the ultrasonic signal that would be introduced to your recording. When using an actual tape machine, a lot of recording engineers would have to calibrate the bias of the machine, and some engineers felt like overcompensating for that bias would actually give them a better sound. So with this particular plugin, you have the option to choose on a nominal calibration or over bias calibration. I'll play it back and toggle the switch so you can hear the difference.
Bad one, she love designers. I'm a real one by her kindness. She want that real love, the internet. She said that new drip keep her wet. She my late night flex. 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 She gon' spit.
Again, I felt like with the normal bias setting, the sound had a little bit more energy, it was brighter, and the vocals were clear. The next control I'll talk about is the monitor repro button here. And this sort of acts like a bypass button. When the button is enabled and the light is lit up, the sound that's leaving this plugin is going to be the processed audio. When you disengage this button, you'll see that some of these controls will be grayed out. And the resulting sound that you will hear leaving this plugin is not taking any of these settings into account. The final three controls in this top right corner all relate to the delay aspect of this plugin. During the mastering stage, I am not using any of the delay settings. However, if you are going to use this on a vocal track, you could use these delay settings to introduce a slapback delay or create an echo on your vocal. You have a delay time, which determines the length of the delay. You have a slap or feedback button here to determine the type of delay. You have an output knob here to determine the amount of delay signal. And you have a filter knob to control the frequency range of the delay. I'm not going to demonstrate the delay on this full song, but feel free to experiment with the delay settings on some of your vocals. This demonstration was for how to use this plugin in your mastering process, but as you'll see, if you open up the preset menu, you can use this plugin on a lot of different types of tracks for a lot of different reasons. There's presets for acoustic guitar, bass, drums, electric guitar, mastering, vocals, to use as the delay effect, and other effects. Hopefully I was able to give you guys a good understanding of how you can use this plugin in your mastering process. It's a dope plugin. It's one that I reach for on probably about 90% of my mixes. If you're interested in purchasing this plugin, I'll leave a link in the description that'll take you to the Waves website where you can go ahead and make that purchase or download the trial version. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If there's any other techniques or plugins you'd like me to review in future videos, drop a comment in the comment section. And again, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you can help my channel grow and also be notified of future videos. If you guys would like to support me or the artist Flamo, I'll leave a link in the description where you guys can download or stream the full version of this song. And I'll also leave a link to our merch shop where you can go ahead and cop yourself a designer t-shirt or a designer hoodie or a designer coffee mug. Thanks again for stopping by the channel. And until next time, keep learning, keep creating, and keep grinding. I'm out.
Been on my since birth, my boy. Big fly, I don't walk the earth, my boy.